I always try to have an intro before one of my reviews. I couldn't think of one. This is it. Welcome back, Midnight Society. It's your boy, the Movie Nerd, here with a Netflix movie review of Marriage Story. Marriage Story stars Adam Driver, aka Kylo Ren, and Scarlett Johansson, aka Black Widow, who both have movies coming out pretty soon. Star Wars comes out this week. Yep, already got my ticket. And Black Widow, which the trailer just came out. I wonder if this is like some type of advertisement for them to come out. Probably not, but who knows? You know I go off on random tangents. But if you don't know anything about this movie, you haven't seen the trailer or heard about it, the title could be a little deceiving. It's not about a marriage story, if that's what you're thinking, about two people getting married and how their marriage worked. It's more about two people that were married and it's pretty much going bad and they're going to get a divorce. And it's the story about that. I guess it should have been called Divorce Story, not Marriage Story. But in order to get divorced, you have to get married. So there goes. It's another one of those tangents. So you see the early stages of separation between Adam and Scarlett. You see the lawyers starting to come in, the divorce papers, and all through this going on, in the middle, you have their son. So he's really put in the middle of this. Then you start seeing the push and pull that tends to happen when it comes with divorces, custody between both parents. I think this movie hits in all the right places, meaning it doesn't try to be a comedy movie. It's not what it is. It knows what it wants to be, and it stays in that lane. The movie's directed by Noah Baumbach. I'm pretty sure it's Baumbach, but you know how names go when I do movie reviews. But the only movie I think I really know or ever watched by him was The Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I thought was a pretty good movie, and this is like the only other movie that I watched, and he's batting 2 for 2 for me. Maybe I should watch the other movies. Well, this movie does well at showing the gritty side of marriage, and that sometimes not all marriages have a happy ending. Sometimes separation and divorce is the happy ending because you have two people that just don't mesh well, or they've grown apart, or they've grown to be two different people, and staying together isn't just going to work. It's not going to be the best thing for them. It's not the best thing for their son. Watching this movie, there are a lot of awkward moments, at least awkward to me, that I was like, hey, you guys are in the middle of a divorce and you're talking like it's not even happening. Like, hey, you want a glass of water? Yeah, I get a glass of water. You want 2 pieces of ice or 1? Yeah, I'll just get you 2 pieces of ice. Cubes of ice. I know I said pieces, whatever. But still, I'm watching like you just got served divorce papers that you didn't expect coming, and you're still playing nice. Until there's one major scene, the apartment scene, which I'm just not even going to talk about. But when you watch it, you'll be like, okay, there it goes. That's the fight that I expected to happen for two people that are getting divorced, and just kind of like hide all that anger and held that anger and let it build up. And the way the screenplay is written, the movie goes on, you kind of start sympathizing for Adam Driver. Like, man, this guy's blindsided. He didn't see this coming. He's such a great guy. He's a great dad. And then you find out some stuff and you're like, man, that sucks. But still, as the movie goes on, the way they interact with each other and the things that they're doing to each other, you're like, man, come on, Scarlett, give the man a break. And you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, I guess he did do that. Why do I feel bad for this guy? I guess he's a dick. And pretty much if you watch this movie with your spouse or significant other, I feel like it's going to divide the men and women. Like, men are going to like gravitate to Adam Driver, not saying like some of the things that he did in his marriage, but just kind of like, man, I feel what this dude's going through. He just wants to be a part of his son's life. He wants to keep his family together and everything. And the woman's like, what do you mean? She's giving him a chance to be in his child's life. Like, it's all about him all of a sudden. Is that what you think? Is that what you think that's going to be? That's how you feel? That's how you feel about us? I don't know. I just kind of see it going that way. And that was a horrible impersonation of a woman. But the connection between Adam and Scarlett acting-wise in this movie is phenomenal. They bounce off each other really well. Scarlett killed this movie. I mean, just individually they killed it. There was not a time where I'm just like, man, I wish I was watching Adam Driver, or a moment where it's like, I wish I see Scarlett. The movie parts where they're together are just as great as the parts where they're apart. Dang it. I try to avoid that. Just to give you a heads up, it's a pretty slow-paced movie, a lot of dialogue. There's one scene where Scarlett Johansson's talking, and she talks for like, oh man, I'm about to cough. Excuse me. But there's one scene where Scarlett Johansson's talking, and she's doing this like, it feels like a soliloquy, like she's talking for like 5 to 10 minutes straight, and the camera doesn't go back and forth and switch between the person that she's talking to. It kind of stays on her, and I'm like, oh man, this is going for a while. It didn't really bother me too much, but I was just like, somebody's gonna watch this and be like, yep, I'm done. Still, she did a great job. And on the other hand, Adam Driver, there's a scene where he's gonna do karaoke, and he comes up there and he's just like, at first he's kind of playing around. You're like, oh, it sounds like you can sing. You ever heard somebody hum? And you're like, if they actually sung, it'd probably sound good. That's pretty much what it was. But then he sits down and comes back, and then he just does this Broadway number, I guess you want to call it, like Sinatra, Rat Pack-ish type song. And he kills it, and I had to go look up, like, can Adam Driver sing? And sure enough, he with the Juilliard, and he was also on Broadway plays. So that makes sense. If you want to see Adam Driver sing, watch this movie. Again, the only negative I really have about this movie is that it was slow paced. I wish it was kind of sped up a little bit, but it wasn't too slow paced for me to where I was like dragging off or falling asleep or anything like that. The most that happened was my daughter just kept coming in, so we had to keep pausing it, so it made it seem like the movie was longer. But that and the ending of the movie is just, it ends on this certain note, and you're like, oh snap, that's the ending. But the action that you see between Adam and Scarlett, you're like, okay, I get it. I see what you're trying to leave this movie off with. So I get it. It wasn't bad. All in all, I thought Marriage Story was well written, definitely well acted, and it's worth a 4. Definitely worth watching on Netflix. So Marriage Story, let me know what you think if you watched it, if you plan on watching it, or if you don't plan on watching it. And as always, if you like what you see here, like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, it's submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society.